friends and welcome to my nest. Today we're going to be sewing the Pieceful Basket Sew Along Block 2. This is what our block is going to look like right here. See that? So today we're going to be sewing this color variation video. The other one that looks like this, I'm going to be showing you what it looks like when I am all done. And the reason why I have this here right here is because this is where the cutting directions are and I cannot share that. So when I am done, I will show you what it looks like. And this is a block that comes in our Sew Sampler box subscription that started last month. So this is block number 2. If you're interested, each block comes every month and it comes with a Sew Sampler box. But if you don't want to get the Sew Sampler box, you can purchase the actual block by itself at fatquartershop.com, and they are listed at $4.98. You can get a paper or PDF. So with that being said, let's get started and sewing our Pieceful Basket block number 2. And here we go. So the first instruction that we are given to make this block is to make our 3/4 square. For this one, I've chosen the blue fabric, which is also like, it looks similar to what is in the pattern. So that's what it's going to look like. What I'm doing is making a half square triangle and then make 2 at a time in this case. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to show you how I do that. So I have here the cute piece, which is the blue, and I'm going to take the N, which is the grayish kind of tone, and they do match. This is Camille, I believe, recent collection. And then this one is Riley Blake, Gingham Factory. So this has been out, but this is how you can match different designers. Now this is Moda and this is Riley Blake, and it goes together rather well. So that's what I'm going to be using today. So I just want to like point that out and let you know that it does work. All right, so I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch apart from the center. So you can see here, this is my line. So I'm putting my center point on that 1/4 inch from that red tape over here. So that's how I know that I am sewing a 1/4 inch from the center. I'm gonna come around and sew one more time. So I'm gonna put my point right on that black line, and then this is a 1/4 inch away, which is the red dot right here. And then I'm gonna sew. So now I'm not going to trim, right? I'm going to just snip down the middle, all right? We're not trimming, by the way. Snip down the middle. I'm going to press to the dark side. From there, I've trimmed it down, and it gave me 2 HST. But we're not going to need both of them. We're just going to need one. So what we're going to do is take our other blue piece of fabric. We're going to put it on top. Now, it doesn't matter if this one is not the exact same size because we're going to trim down anyway, okay? So what I'm going to do is flip it over. Look at it, and it is bigger. Because I cut all pieces, I cut them 4.5 just so I can trim them down. And right here, because I don't want it to move, I kind of want it to just kind of stay put. The only thing I need to make sure is that this corner right here do match up. I don't need to make sure this matches up because I'm going to trim it off. Sew down the middle. Then I'm going to come around. So now that my pieces are sewn on, I'm just going to make sure I look. So this is what it's supposed to look like right here. All right, so we're supposed to have one light, and then the rest of them are supposed to be dark in same colors, okay? So what I'm going to do is trim it. So I'm just going to take my scissors and just cut down the middle, just like this, okay? And then I'm going to bring my ruler. I'm going to just use this nifty rulers right here. This ruler is amazing. I love it. So I'm going to line the middle right here on my seam. This doesn't matter. That's overlay right here because it's just going to get cut off. All right. So I'm just going to bring it like this. They're lined up. And then I'm just going to take my rotary cutter and just strip. Yes, I know I need to replace my blade. I am like terrible at changing my blade. I'm going to trim. I'm just going to cut off the dog ear before I go iron or press. So now that they're done, I'm going to press to the dark side. And this is what it's going to look like. We did not use this other ones. I'm pretty sure we're going to need it later on in this sew along. We just need one HST to make these two squares right here. So they're done. I think this is like the most challenging part of the whole entire block. So now that they are done, this is both of them that we're gonna need, and I'm going to put them on the side like that. So the next step, we're gonna make our 4 HSTs that we need. And so we're gonna take our O piece and we're gonna take our M piece, put them right sides together and sew down the middle. Now, these are all done. We made 4 of the HST, but we're only gonna need 3. And then the other one's gonna be extra for something else. Now that we've completed all that, our next step is to put the first part of the blocks together. I'm gonna take my piece P, and then I'm gonna take our quarter square. I'm gonna put it like that. And I'm gonna take our HST, making sure that my dark is facing that way. Okay. And then I'm gonna bring another quarter square, put it like so. HST is going that way, and then we're gonna take our other colors and put it that way. So next we're going to take our HST and we're gonna put it like this. It's kind of like going in. And then I'm gonna take our G piece and I'm gonna assemble it just like that. The next step is to just kind of sew these together. I'm gonna sew this first. The reason why I sewed this first is because it's just the 2 of them. These right here, I can just chain piece them. It makes it a little easier. So now that all these are done, what we're doing now is sewing all 3 segments together, and I'm gonna do that now. I'm just gonna hold the points where they meet. I'm gonna hold them in place so they don't shift on me. And then I'm gonna sew this part. Okay, so all the middle part of this block is done. So the next thing we're going to do is put the K piece on the bottom like this. And then after we're done with that, we're going to put our J piece on the side, just like this. That's what it's gonna look like. So let's do that right now. So the next thing we're doing is taking our teeny tiny I and B piece and we're going to make 2 HSTs, which is half square triangle. Now this is going to be a tiny, teeny tiny half square triangle. I will trim it using this nifty ruler. It makes things so much easier. And then just snip down the middle. With this one, I'm just going to finger press open because it's such a tiny square. Because if I attempt to press this to the side, it's going to be super bulky. So this is what we need. We just need 2 of this and that's done. What we're doing next is taking our D piece. We're going to take our teeny tiny L piece. We're going to sew them together. And we're going to take our teeny tiny HST that we just did and sew it together. Now, I want to make sure that I don't flip this because it's easy to flip it. So I'm going to sew these first, then I'll sew it onto this. So now this is done. We're just going to take this that we just made. We're going to sew it onto this top right here. So here's what we're looking like right now. I wanted to make sure that I don't flip this part right here because last time I did flip it and I didn't like that, but I wasn't going to make it again. So the next thing we're going to do is take our C piece. Here's our C piece, and we're going to sew our another L piece onto the bottom like this. And then we're going to take this teeny tiny HST that we just made earlier. We're going to make it where the white part or the background is going out like this. I'm just going to flip this and sew it first. And then bring it back. I'm going to look at it before I sew it. And then that's that. Now what these are like strip fabric, right? The reason why I am not pressing after every seam sewn is because these are bias cutting right here. By doing that, pressing, sewing and pressing can stretch it a little bit and kind of make it off. So what I'm going to do is sew everything on, these little strips, and then I will press them when it's all done and sewn onto this piece. And then at that point, it'll be stable enough for me to give it a little heat. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and sew it now to the larger piece. So right now everything is looking good. This is what my piece is looking like. I'm going to give it a little bit of heat. I'm going to press it. Then I will continue with the rest of the sewing. So the next thing we're going to do is take our J and K pieces and then sew our E onto it. Okay, so we're going to do that right now. So I'm going to sew this onto this side and then we'll come back and sew the other one. So this is what we're looking like, and I'm going to take this piece. I'm not going to press. I'm just going to sew on, then I'll press because I don't want to take the chance of my section being stretched. All right, so I'm going to just match it, and then I'm going to sew again. Okay, so now all the parts are sewn on. Let me put it the right way. All the parts are sewn on, and I did trim this piece to what they want it to be, okay? And our last segment to be done for this block, we're gonna take one of our A pieces, and then we're gonna take our F piece, right side together. We're gonna sew onto the bottom corner. Doesn't matter which one because we're gonna flip it anyway. So we're gonna sew down the middle. So to save the fabric, I just stitched here to give me another half square triangle. So I'm just going to cut down the middle. So what we're doing now is pressing this like this. And I do want to press open because I want this to be as flat as possible. So I'm going to press it open like this. Then I'm going to go with my iron and press it down. So now that this is sewn and the corners are sewn on, I'm just going to just snip down the middle right here. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm just going to take my ruler. I'm going to just cut right here. That's all there is to this step, okay? So I'm just going to take my longer ruler and I'm just going to snip down the middle. And then I'm going to take my other piece and do the same thing. So now what we're doing here is taking our bottom piece that we just done. We're going to bring it like this, and then we're going to take this part. We're going to lay it just like that, next to each other, not opposite, but next to each other. And then we're going to take this piece that we just cut in the middle. We're going to cut it and put it like that. Okay. And then we're going to take this and put it like this. All right. So this is what our block is going to look like when it's done. So what I'm going to do is just sew this and then sew the opposite side. And in sewing that, I'm going to just have a little lip hanging out like this, and then I'll sew. So this part right here is hanging out. So when I put my piece that goes on top here, it'll have something to hang on to. Now I'm going to sew this onto this. Now, you are not going to cut this little ear piece off because you need something for this to grab onto. So if you cut this off, then it's not going to, I mean, you can still grab onto the edge, but or for me, I wouldn't cut it off because I feel like I still need that stability of fabric. And at the end, I can always snip it. So it's no big deal. And when we trim it down, we will always snip it as well. So it's no big deal for me. If you want to cut it off, feel free to. But personally, I'm leaving it in just because it helps with stability. The last but not least stitch on. We're going to bring this on and we're going to sew it. Here is block number 2, all completed in the yellow colorway. All right, and this is what it looks like. This is navy blue, and then this is like a royal blue with like a webbing on it. And so this gray and cream kind of brings it out a little bit. And then underneath here, let me show you block number 1. So underneath here is block number 1. So this is what block number 1 is looking like. It's consistent, but then my colors are still different. Okay, let me show you what it looks like in the blue. So this is blue. This is block number 2 that we just completed in blue. So this is what it looks like. This is exactly what it's supposed to look like right here. All right, I did it with the fabric using the kit. So this is it right here. And so these are my blocks side by side right here. I'm going to show you what they look like side by side. So these are my block right here side by side. This is what they look like together. So I just wanted to show you what they will look like with a different colorway. This is completely different than what this is. So, but either way, I mean, depending on what color fabric you're choosing, your block will come out completely almost different than what the kit is offering. I'm just doing this to show you how you can kind of pick and pull from your stash, even though it's not the same designer or the same company. For example, this right here, this is Moda, this is Moda, this is Riley Blake, and this is Camille Ross Kelly. I don't even know who, this is Moda, but I can't remember the designer of this one. That's how you kind of make your colors work. And just by doing that, you can use your stash to create something beautiful. It doesn't have to be a kit. Now, a kit would do all the thinking for you. If you're not great at choosing colors, it will be good for you. But if you are seasoned and you have a few quilts under your belt, you can pull and pick whatever from your stash to create blocks or quilt, even though they're not the same designers. So that's kind of what I'm bringing you here, giving you an idea on how you can use fabric from your stash to create something really nice and then to make a block. And by the time it's all in a quilt, guess what? It's going to all work together, and then it's not going to be like, well, is this Riley Blake? Is this whatever? It's going to be nice, and then nobody will know if you use leftover fabric for anything. So with that being said, that's all I have for you today. This is my block number 2 in my choice of colors. And then this is block number 2 as well in the kit. Okay. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that helped you think outside of the block in making your blocks. Now, don't forget to subscribe down below, and I would love to see you in my next video. You have a great day. Bye.